lead plaintiff in the abortion ban lawsuit against the state of Texas, and Melissa Murray, a law professor at NYU, co-host of the Strict Scrutiny podcast and an MSNBC legal analyst. Welcome to both of you. You both are experts in this field in different ways, but Melissa, I'm not. As you know, my legal training comes from Law and Order. I have to ask, this is a ridiculous concept. If you need to call 911 because you need an ambulance, that's one thing. But the idea to call 911 to sort of put on the table that I'm doing something that you might determine might be breaking the law, but I'm kind of not, like, it's a ridiculous idea. It's like calling 911 to tell them you didn't kill someone.
Well, I mean, again, the Fifth Amendment would like a word. If this is in fact going to be criminal behavior, that was an invitation to incriminate yourself. But the bottom line remains, this shouldn't be criminal behavior. As you note, 1 in 5 pregnancies results in a miscarriage. It's incredibly common. Many women have experienced it. I've experienced it. The idea that you would compound the trauma of a pregnancy loss by subjecting someone who's experienced pregnancy loss to a subsequent criminal prosecution is so vicious, abhorrent, and violently anti-woman that it really just beggars belief.
Yeah, and Amanda, I mean, without all of that, someone like you suffered anyway, like without getting the police involved in it. In your case, you developed sepsis. You also now have a permanently damaged fallopian tube because a Texas hospital refused to offer you emergency abortion care for a non-viable pregnancy. Something similar happened to Kylie Thurman, who ended up losing her right fallopian tube. Now, a federal investigation found that the hospital that denied her violated the law. But given this new guidance in West Virginia, situations like yours and Kylie's could become more common.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're exactly right. And it's just reprehensible. They're doing all kinds of things here in Texas to try to criminalize seeking abortion, which is basic health care. And it's absolutely terrifying. And now with the Trump administration rescinding this guidance on EMTALA, I'm imagining an alternate reality in my situation where I'm at the hospital, I'm in septic shock, I'm literally dying, but because I have a non-viable pregnancy, there's a debate in the room on whose life to save, even though the baby's life can't be saved. It's just absolutely insane.
I would imagine, Melissa, that let's just take that analogy a little further, because the issues Amanda faced did not involve law enforcement. But now, does the question become when you're at a hospital and you've got an emergency, you need an emergency miscarriage, you're having a miscarriage, you need emergency treatment, that did you call the hospital, did you call the police? And if you say no, do they? I mean, the logical extension of this is someone is going to end up getting police involved, and then prosecutors start getting involved in this conversation.
So that's certainly the scenario that's being laid out in those states that have really draconian restrictions on abortion. But I don't think we should lose sight of the fact that this rescission of the EMTALA guidance also creates complications in states where abortion access is permitted. And that's the point here. The point is to withdraw this guidance, to make it unclear what physicians can do, and to make hospitals left willing, because of the risk of liability going forward, and maybe even the risk of losing their federal funding, to provide this kind of emergency care to those who need it when they need it. And as Amanda just said, this new guidance that the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid have issued is very fetal personhood forward, which is to say that it emphasizes that in EMTALA's emergency situations, the physicians have to prioritize and balance both the health of the pregnant patient and the unborn child. And again, that's a kind of weighing that many physicians are not in a position to do in an emergency situation where minutes count, where seconds count.
And I want to go back to Amanda on this, because you were in that kind of situation. And by the way, the hospital was not able to do the right thing. So you actually nearly died, even though the hospital had an obligation in theory to help you live.
That's exactly right. And as Melissa pointed out, it is literally a matter of seconds, of minutes. I barely survived with the confusion that existed 3 years ago when I went through my ordeal. I can't imagine how much worse it would be now with this additional layer of confusion in that period where you need healthcare and you need it emergently. The last thing you want is your doctors questioning what they can and can't do and taking precious time to debate whether or not they can provide care.
And can you just remind our audience of your story here? Because you always say that you had the benefit of having a partner and a husband who was able to shuttle you back and forth. You did go home. You realized you were much sicker than you thought you were going to be. I mean, this could have gone wrong about, as I recall it, 6 different ways with you.
Yes, it could have. And also, it was all entirely preventable. I was suffering a miscarriage at 18 weeks, which, by the way, thank you for pointing out that there's also a great deal of heartache and grief that goes into a miscarriage. And in my case, the baby's heart was still beating. And so inducing labor would have been considered an illegal abortion, even though there's absolutely no way that she could survive. So I had to wait until I met the medical exception in Texas, which is life of the mother. And it took 3 days and a crash into septic shock before I could finally get care. Again, none of that was necessary, and it was entirely preventable.
Melissa, what is the option? I mean, there's two different cases, 2 different things going on. There's places like West Virginia and Alabama and Texas, and then there's those places where people think abortions are safe. Tell me again about the overlap between the rescission of this order and women in states that do not have draconian abortion laws, and how this can play out to affect them negatively.
So when the Biden administration, after the Dobbs decision was announced, issued this guidance, it was to make clear that all hospitals in receipt of federal funds, which is most hospitals in the United States who treat Medicare patients and Medicaid patients, to make clear to those hospitals that in emergency situations, they had to provide emergency care under EMTALA, the Emergency Medical Treatment and Active Labor Act, which was passed in 1986. The idea here was to make it clear to doctors that even in states where there were draconian abortion restrictions, that kind of emergency care had to be provided. The rescission of that means that in all of those hospitals that receive federal funding, which is most hospitals in the United States, now there's an open question about what can be provided. And so that's not just in states with draconian abortion restrictions. That's also in states like California, like New York, where abortion access is typically allowed and provided. So even if you are experiencing miscarriage, where abortion is the indicated medical resolution for your situation, the fact of this rescission of that guidance means that the physicians in your hospital, the general counsel of your hospital, will probably be debating whether or not they want to risk providing that emergency treatment, or whether they want to risk the ire of the Trump administration and the withdrawal of federal funding, which would make it absolutely impossible to operate their hospital systems.
And I appreciate you both reminding us in all of your answers, we're talking about emergency treatment. I mean, it's not that there isn't a lot to talk about in non-emergency treatment for women who are pregnant, but right now we're discussing emergency treatment. I want to talk a little more broadly now, Amanda. I want to bring something else to our viewers' attention. FDA Commissioner Marty Makary is in the process of conducting a review on the abortion pill, mifepristone, following a request from Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri to restrict its access based on long ago discredited science that claims mifepristone is unsafe. I mean, mifepristone's been around for 25 years or more. Are you worried about this? The Trump administration is moving forward on a federal ban, what looks to be the designs of a federal ban on the abortion pill, which yet again complicates things, because right now most abortions in this country are medicine abortions.
Yes, I'm extraordinarily concerned about this, but also we knew this was coming. They told us this in Project 2025. They very clearly laid out that they were working very hard towards making abortion nationally illegal. And they're doing that in a number of ways, right? And through all of the things that the Trump administration is doing, it's sending a very clear message to me as a woman of reproductive age, that the Trump administration prioritizes an unborn fetus more than a woman's life. And with all of this that's going on right now, it says to me that the Trump administration doesn't care if women die.
Thank you to both of you. It's a remarkable conversation. I can't believe we're having it, except, Amanda, you're 100% right. I can believe we're having it because we knew it was coming. We've known it the whole time. We knew it in The Handmaid's Tale. It's actually happening. There's nothing to deny anymore. Thank you to both of you. Amanda Zurawski is a reproductive rights activist. She's the lead plaintiff in the abortion ban lawsuit, Zurawski versus the state of Texas. Melissa Murray, of course, great friend of our show, law professor at NYU and an MSNBC